Hello, welcome to Flower Juice. My name's John McDonald and today we're going to make a ring of Gypsophila with an orchid highlight. So this could be something you could use for a funeral item, but it's just as equally something that could be used on a table or for a wedding, maybe hanging on a gate or hanging on a door. So I've got a wreath ring base, just a kind of plastic back one. This is quite good because you get good access at the sides. We've got a plant for using for our orchid. So this is a good way of actually getting something special as a highlight without having to buy a box of cut flowers. And then we've got this beautiful Gypsophila, and actually it's looking really, really nice. So what we want to do is make just really quite a tight ring of Gypsophila. Now the problem with the Gypsophila is it's quite tricky, I think, in the sense of, do we want it just to sit like that? Well, actually, this is quite bushy, so it could. So I think what we need to do is just really work our way around. What I would normally suggest is if your Gypsophila isn't really that great or that good, what you could do is you could just go around the ring and do an edge of greenery. So something like a conifer, and that will just give a little bit of support as well. But we've got lots of flower on this, so we're just really, what I'm doing is cutting little bits and then pulling them into like a little bunch, and then we just can insert that really well. So this is where having a knife is a good thing. And we're just going to work our way around. So this can take time. So actually it's just a case of having everything to hand and working quickly. So this might be something that you might want to do for even Christmas. You could use this for a table centre. I really like the Gypsophila as a winter flower because it just reminds you of snow. So we're just splitting it down into little units and straight in. So as I've said before on previous videos about making wreaths, the best thing is to work in a really kind of logical way. So rather than jumping around, just do the outer edge, do the inner edge, do your main flowers, put them in a logical way, and that will give you a very good result. And actually, it saves thinking. And it just means things are spaced out nicely and they're quite logically done. So this is going to take a little bit of time just to put together, because as you can see, there's a lot of little units going to make this up. Now what you could do is you could make a wreath based with Gypsophila like this, and then just have one placement, or you could put things through it, or you could really just leave it very plain. Might be quite nice as well. So we started on the outside, now we're on the inside, and again just working our way round. So as you're inserting your flowers, you can feel if they're happy and they're secure. And this Gypsophila is really nice and strong, which is great. So I'm also trying with the Gypsophila not to really just jump around on this bunch. It's better to work your way on some stems so that you use the whole of a stem, and rather than you've got 25 stems and then you've damaged them all and you're left with actually half of the volume, but you can't use it for anything else because you were cutting into it. So So we've done our outer edge, we've done our inner edge, and now it's just a case of come up a level and start doing another one. So, and how thick you get this depends on how many pieces you put in, how you build it up. We want it to be reasonably thick. We also need to remember that this is going to probably lie on the ground if it's at a funeral. So if it's lying on the ground, then don't over worry about little gaps, because they will just disappear by the fact that you're further away from them. So as you can see, we're starting to get a nice shape, and that nice shape is really coming from the fact that we're working in a consistent way. This is where these little turntables are absolutely brilliant, and we've had one or two people online asking, where do you get them? Well, a lot of people used to make their own, but you can buy them in, you know, like the ones that you would get for decorating a cake. Or I've seen them even in like IKEA, where it's just like a Lazy Susan for putting snacks on, which is even good, even better. So it is handy because it just means you can work your way around on an item like this. Without having to worry. So I think maybe watching this, you might be having ideas of things that you can do yourself. Like there's no reason why you couldn't put an inner ring of roses, would look quite cool, and then do a placement at one side. You've got lots of opportunities with this. The only thing is, it just takes time. So now back to the inner ring. So yeah, this is where your knife is really handy because it is fast. So it's definitely worth taking a little bit of care when you're doing that outer edge and that inner edge, because those are the ones that are slightly more at risk from, you know, being in transit or being handled. But yeah, you can start to see that this is really coming quite good. And now we can go more to the middle and start just building it. So if we take some good wee clumps, now I'm making sure that all this ends up in the foam. But you can see that this is actually, you're doing a lot of work with a Gypsophila wreath, but the effect is really nice. And actually, it smells nice. Some people say they don't like it, but this one smells really sweet. So to fuller stems. One of the things we've really enjoyed is a lot of you are basically saying that you feel a bit inspired and you've been making your own things, and some of you have very kindly sent us some of your photos. So we love seeing your photos of what you've done, especially if it was maybe because you saw something that we did and you liked it and then you've adapted it and turned it into your own thing. It's really interesting to see what other people do. So thank you for sending us pictures. If you were thinking of sending us a picture and you haven't, then just do it. You can send it by email or I think on Messenger as well. So we love that, and we might actually create a gallery or do something with those images in the future if you don't mind, because I think it's really interesting to see what people do and just the variety of flowers and what you can do with them. So you can see we're getting a nice effect now with the ring. So I think if you were making this, you would obviously want to spend a bit of time, just go over, use up all your little last bits of Gypsophila, just feed them in, you know, don't waste anything basically. There's no point. But you are eventually going to run out of space for doing it. So you can see there's still lots of little bits on here. So that's our ring. Now the possibilities for this are really good. What you could do is you could even use them as wall hanging. You could add lovely ribbon. There's a lot of different things. But what I want to do here is just add an orchid as our highlight. And I'm going to use a plant for it. Because this gives us a perfect flower. And I'm just looking at how best to split this down. So I think if we cut it like that, we can then sit that one that way, that one that way. And that one that way. So really simple. If you wanted, you could add more orchid. In fact, we've got another one there. So the choice is yours. But you could also add, if you wanted, a little touch of greenery or maybe a couple of callas. You can make this more than you want. It's up to you. But to be honest, I just want to leave this really plain because I think the initial idea was to make something that was quite clean and quite simple and quite modern. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, then click here to subscribe and keep up to date with all our new videos to come. Thank you.